Always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I know is to love what I'm doing. Never give up, never slow, till I finally prove it. Never listen to the no's, I just wanna keep moving. Keep my head up when I
have to actually do some thinking about that. I have to sit for a while.
Keep my head up, staying strong. Always moving
Obviously,
on. Feel I don't belong, tell my thoughts to move along.
I just think obviously they're doing something.
Die with no regrets, live with every breath. See my message start to spread, and I had so many dreams. Then you hit your teens, life ain't really what it seems. Try to find out what it means. Always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I know is to love what I'm doing. Never give up, never slow,
figure it out.
Finally prove it. Never listen to the no's, I just wanna keep moving. Yeah, I put out all this art, it's my only medicine. Yeah, everything I do, I'm just being genuine. Yeah, I'm sick of being screwed, feel my own adrenaline. Yeah, I do just what I do, and I hope you let me in, yeah. I'm grateful, oh yeah, able, oh yeah, I'm stable, oh yeah, no label, oh yeah, you know me, I have only a path, I'm lonely, but damn, I'm going to win. I don't want no fake love, I want the real stuff. Everybody listen up, cause I'll only say it once. I'm gonna show you all the path, if you want it bad, I'm gonna show you where it's at. Yeah, how you can get it back, yeah, cause I ain't never done, I'll be number one.
Let's talk about the cycle gains. Interestingly, I'm 4 days now on basically sports TRT. It averages out about 370 milligrams a week, and I'm happy. I definitely feel great. I didn't feel any big drop off, maybe a little bit extra. I wouldn't call it fatigue, but I'm not as energized, you know, after the gym. Like the gym, you know, hurts me just a little bit, then I quickly recover after a meal. So I feel good. But one of the interesting things about, you know, now that I'm running just prop and cream, I don't have a long ester in the picture. So I'm less nitrogenic, holding less glycogen in the muscles, less water weight on my muscles. And so I've leaned out over the course of the last 7 days. I can actually see the gains now a lot more. And I'm pretty fucking happy with it. I mean, this is just 4 months. If you watch my videos from 4 months ago when I was on, you know, 250 a prop or something, which is not very anabolic because prop is less anabolic, I look substantially smaller. And I'm happy with it, man. I'll run another one, or maybe I'll bring in the Anavar that I have soon. And so that'll be fucking interesting. Let's talk quickly about no HCG. Again, I'm getting repeated emails about my content on this, and people are ditching HCG and having good results. I don't suggest you do that. I tolerate the stuff fine. I may have a run with it of not running it, you know, because I'm running short acting stuff. So it's less suppression on the HPTA, just to see if there's testicular shrinkage and how much, if that changes. Ejaculate volume. By the way, if you just dose some soy lecithin, or if you're like averse to soy for some reason, I mean, I don't think it would fuck with you if you're on androgens, you can dose sunflower lecithin. Your ejaculate volume is going to increase pretty substantially. One of the major substrates for your seminal fluid is phosphatidylcholine, which is in any kind of lecithin supplement. So it'd be something for people to consider. Again, though, I want to make the point that some people are just not going to be able to dial in on HCG because it's, you know, estrogenic. It might change the ratio of estrogen in the testicles. It might be stroking the progesterone receptors. And there's a big long paper, which I think Dave Lee was referring to, or at least the idea that HCG is just not for men. He might have been referring to notions that are presented in this paper. It's a big long fucking paper where, you know, these scientists basically like dispute the idea that HCG is a mimicker of LH exclusively, and they bring to light that it does a bunch of other things, you know, that you may not want. So just something to consider. And I will break that paper down just for the sake of the argument. Also maybe to give some clarity to Dave if he hasn't seen it, and to also give some clarity to the TRT community. It would be wild if I read it, thoroughly digested it, and discovered like people shouldn't use HCG. That would be a drastic change from my previous position. So I'll have to read it. I'm open to reinterpretation in the, you know, in the face of new science. I never want to be stubborn about shit. So that's that. Otherwise, let's let's get into questions. Okay, so what's up, Chris? Hope you're great. Matt Cap is talking about some achy joints. Welcome to the club. I get achy joints if I take too much AI. That's about it, you know. And I don't get it otherwise. I just, you know, I mean, and now on my protocol, I'll have to use an AI, just a little bit of zinc, some CDG if necessary, and then I'm good. But the weird thing about AIs is even if you don't crush the estrogen, the rapid reduction, even while the serum looks good, can still cause achy joints. That's why those are bad drugs. You know, if you can figure out a way not to take them, it's going to be better. Yeah. In this case, though, yeah, I mean, you probably lower the estradiol a bit. You should have tested it prior, just estradiol sensitive, and then test it now so that you can see where it is. You know, again, the serum might not fluctuate all that much, but somewhat of a rapid reduction you're not used to could totally make your joints hurt. It's just you get starved of that estradiol at the tissue level, and that could happen. MJ, hey Ryan, following your advice, I now take 20 milligrams Test C, 10 milligrams of Prop, and 15 milligrams Primo. Hey, great, that's cool. I like that. It's a hybrid approach, and that does work for people. Androgen, calcium nuclearate feel great. Okay, wow. HCG 250 every other day. I think that's a great long-term protocol. I mean, Primobolan is among the, you know, the steroids that we talk about or that are in our wheelhouse. I mean, it's one of the most sustainable ones. I think you could take a low dose of Primobolan for the rest of your life and be totally fine. So long as, you know, it doesn't crush your estrogen and you're okay with what it's doing to estrogen, I think that's totally fine. Yeah, Primo's great, man. I mean, Primo is pretty cool. I've got some Masteron, which I'm going to experiment with soon. I'm sure it's going to fuck with my estrogen in possibly a negative way, because I'm on these fast-acting esters now, just Prop and Cream, and I don't really need to take an AI. I don't need to take an AI, so I'm not sure if that will mess things up, but for the sake of experimentation, I'll be using Masteron at some point pretty soon. But I might be running the Anavar first. We'll see. We'll see if I just lose the gains I gained on cycle. I don't really think so. I'm 4 days out now, much leaner, less glycogen, less water weight, and I can actually see my fucking gains. So it's kind of cool. And that's that, brethren. All right, cool. AB, okay, so been running 500 to 600 IU of HCG every other day. Because you're trying to improve health and testicular function after running a bunch of androgens. Don't have bloods, but think E2 is getting up. If you're not on testosterone now, that should be okay. I mean, that's a pretty standard, close to the standard dose for HCG monotherapy. However, that dose is not tolerable for some people if they are running test as well. I can run it. In fact, on the cycle, I was running 500 IU HCG every other day, just because my, testicular function was shutting down quickly via just so much test. And again, longer esters are way more suppressive via both sticking around a while and the estrogen, regardless of the serum. It's just tissue level saturation, and more shutdowns. So, yeah, I mean, the only way to know is to test this. You got to run estradiol sensitive and see exactly where it is. And then you'll know, brother. You'll know what to do from there. Which would probably be at this point to dial that HCG dose back a little bit, Side note, somebody sent me a video about, God, I don't remember the YouTuber's name, but he's a somewhat popular YouTuber, somewhere around 15,000 subs. And he was talking about, he basically always had issues dialing in on testosterone. So finally, because estrogen itself is really the mediator of a TRT protocol. It's hard to keep it in the right range. You either have to find your dose that keeps it there, or you've got to find your manipulation strategies with AIs and zinc and all these other compounds. Where basically he was trying to make the point that, using other anabolic non-aromatizable androgens, in this case, Trenbolone, I'm not sure Tren is the best answer, but Tren with exogenous estradiol, so that the guy could keep the estrogen exactly where he wanted it to be, but get all the anabolic and androgenic benefits of an androgen. And there he found the best libido and sexual function. So it's just, there might be, for those that can't dial in on test because of estrogen, a case for running a non-aromatizable androgen and then taking exogenous estradiol just to keep it at, say your number is 25. You keep it at 25 and then you're running maybe you're running Anavar and then you switch to Tren and then you switch to something else that's, anabolic and androgenic at the same time. And as long as you're monitoring your health, it might be somewhat sustainable. So just something to consider, brothers. Chris, do you have any concerns about scar tissue with daily intramuscular injections? I don't at the moment. If it becomes problematic, I obviously will. I'm not a huge fan of subcutaneous for people or for myself. If I dose sub-Q, I've got to dose a lot at once to really notice it, for it to have enough of an impact on sexual function, or I've got to be patient and wait the whole, what would probably be 2 months for the levels to build up because sub-Q is such a slow fucking release. So, if I ever have scarring, then yeah, sure. But otherwise, no, like I would just switch to purely cream, if that was a problem. I've run purely cream before. I think my best protocol in terms of like not needing an AI, not doing anything was just 3 pumps of scrotal cream a day and fucking everything was incredible. So that's probably what I would do if I ever ran into that issue because I just hate sub-Q. All right. What dose of Aromasin do you think I should start with? No idea, bro. Don't know what your protocol is. Include your protocol in so you're the guy that's running this. I would test your E2 first. You don't want to start Aromasin quite yet. Best nootropics for mental clarity. For clarity, probably aniracetam would be the best nootropic for mental clarity. People tend to have different responses, like prefer one racetam over the other because they do better on it. And so try aniracetam, secondarily try oxiracetam, and then see which one drives better with you. Yeah. Yes, lowering the body fat will help the aromatization. Okay. So another question here. If I'm using 1,000 IU of HCG Monday and Thursday, how much anastrozole per week should I use to keep E2 in the high 20s? I don't feel normal with E2 higher than 30. Well, that assumes I know how you respond. See, you guys, okay, listen. Each individual responds pretty dramatically differently than another individual to the use of a anastrozole in this case, but any aromatase inhibitor. So I can't tell you the dose. That makes sense in this case. I don't know where your E2 is either. You're not even telling me where your estradiol is. So yeah, you guys got to include more context and be more specific, man. Johnny, will Masteron and Primo have same effects on DHT? On serum DHT? No, they're not going to change serum DHT. You might have a little more because you're lowering SHBG to an extent. But no, it's not going to have an effect on serum H or DHT. If you're asking, are they similar? No, I've been over this. They are derivatives of DHT, which have different half-lives depending on the ester, different mechanisms of action. Like Masteron, I believe blocks estrogen receptor function, right? Or terminates the genetic potentiation, the translocation, after ERA or ERB is bound to. Then you have this genetic set of genetic actions, and that's like where the receptor translocates and does all this fucking extra complicated shit. And I think Masteron blocks that. Few people, though, do say Masteron reduces their serum estradiol. The only way it would do that would be, well, 2 ways. It would displace testosterone from the AR, displace testosterone in a way which prevents some testosterone's aromatization. Or it in and of itself is an aromatase inhibitor, or one of its intermediary metabolites is an aromatase inhibitor, kind of like Primobolan. That's the deal with Primo. So, Madcap, does ketoconazole 2% cause PFS or worsen? Sure can. Yeah, if it goes systemic, you're having problems. Again, anybody that's worried about PFS, don't do anything that messes with DHT, whether it's topically or otherwise, because the topical shit goes systemic and can go systemic. All right, can I make a video on venous leakage? I'm 21 and venous leakage is making my life hell. Possibly. The thing you really want to look into is high dose androgens. Yeah, I mean, there's a big long paper on it. You should find this paper if you want to really benefit yourself. Find the paper that shows that high doses of androgens radically improve venous leakage, dramatically improve venous leakage. Okay, find that paper, because otherwise, again, I mean, there could be a lot of collagen deposition and reduction in smooth muscle content and penile tissue, which would cause this. But you know, it's fixable via androgens. It's fixable via a lot of androgens. You know, it just might be the case that you need to be dosing 100 of prop every day. And I know that sounds crazy, but I've seen shit like that before. All right, Jay Brody, should peak or trough be at the top of the range? What? I don't know what you mean, brother. Yeah, maybe I'm talking about the Trenemy guy. I don't remember this guy's YouTube channel, but he is discussing how he's not on testosterone anymore. He struggled for years just dialing in libido and sexual function, and then just got on tren, non-aromatizable androgen, and then estradiol. I think he was just injecting estradiol, keeping the estrogen like within his range because you can then manipulate it very directly, but still having the anabolic and androgenic benefits of trenbolone or of an androgen. And there he has a great protocol. Again, I'm not sure how sustainable that is, but it's something to think about because there are a class of people that just have a real fucking hard time dialing in because of estrogen. Estrogen is the number one problem on testosterone. That's just it. You don't have problems with high testosterone like in the 2000s. People don't have problems with that. You know, you could live at 2000 for the rest of your life. I'm fully fucking convinced of that. Now, 4000 plus. Yeah, I mean, the potential for what is it? Left ventricular hypertrophy is really blood pressure dependent. So you'd have to manage your blood pressure. But anyway, estrogen's the primary problem. And, you know, I don't know if that's the guy's channel. Darren, this is a good question. How long does it take for zinc to act as an aromatase inhibitor? That fucking day, brother. That day. Yep. You're going to notice estrogen reduction. Like if you're having floppy boner syndrome from too much estradiol, it should start going away that day. Yeah. If you really want a powerful AI-like effect from zinc, take 50 milligrams a day. Take 25 in the morning and they take 25 at like 4 or 5 p.m. Yeah, that's going to reduce your estrogen. Like on lower doses of testosterone, especially fast-acting stuff, lower doses than cycle doses, if I take too much zinc too consistently, I'll lose my libido because it fucking took my estrogen too low. It really does work. Picolinate, glucuronate, what's the other one? Forget. You could surmise what I'm trying to say by Googling that. It actually works. Yeah, zinc is, you know, like you have Arimidex just kills your estrogen pretty quickly. Aromacin kills it slower, but still dominates it and, you know, stops you from producing it for a longer period of time. You have letrozole, which is like, okay, we're going to kill your whole family and they're not coming back. And then, you know, below that, you have like below Arimidex and Aromacin, you've got zinc, you know, you've got zinc, which is, it's pretty effective, but it's just not as effective, which is good for people that over respond to Arimidex. All right. $10 super chat from Master RC. Dial in and manage nervousness and mild anxiety, vitamin B's. All right. I mean, you wasted your super chat, bro. you really did. Thanks for the $10, but like, what? Whoa. Listen, can anyone figure this out? You know, you guys have to like think that you got to put context into your situation. Dale in. You didn't like Dale in. Look, I'd hate to be hard on you guys, but like, yo, you're a full grown man, I would assume. You know, act like it, bro. All right, in general, all right, Preston, I skipped your question here. Almost 3 weeks on prop, switching from a test E blend. Oh, a sip test E blend. Oh, great. Okay, I'm visibly less inflamed. Yeah. Well, I think you're gonna lose a lot of water weight too. I already have getting off the cycle. I'm technically 5 days off of running cycle of testosterone and I've already lost water weight. So I can see my gains. I kind of like it. It's like I look smaller, but I'm actually just seeing what I'm left over with from the cycle. Only dropped a couple pounds on the scale. Feels great to not feel like a damn Michelin man while tying my shoes. Yeah, I mean, people have varying degrees of water weight and water retention on long esters. I don't have a lot of it anymore, but I have a noticeable some of it. You know, it's some of it. And my face gets leaner. Everything just gets generally leaner when I get off of the long esters. If I go back on cycle, like you know, I probably will run a long ester again just because it's better for cycling. But, you know, the short esters are fucking great for TRT. They're honestly the best. Mad Cat, for PFS individuals, would IGF-1 and Proviron protocol help for penile gains? No. No, you keep asking about PFS and you're like, would this and this work? Brother, you got to get on TRT. You're likely going to have to keep the testicles functional, whether that's without HCG and with fast acting stuff so that, you know, they don't, you know, you're not suppressing the HPTA all that much. And it is likely that you'll need to dose exogenous DHT. You'll probably have to control estrogen either way. To just make sure it doesn't go out of your range, whether that's with dose manipulation or whether it's with an AI or zinc. And it's possible in addition to that, like, or as your estrogen control, you might need to bring in a DHT derivative, because those things are more potent on estradiol versus actual DHT itself. But DHT has optimization of the reproductive system, the seminal vesicles, and erectile quality, mainly penile endothelial function, which you would need as well. Jordan G Unit, thanks for the $10, bro. So source list, you're welcome. Again, yeah, I mean, one of the, there's all the vendors, like our vendors that I use, but my favorite vendor is Hunter. Those of you that got source list, just use Hunter for shit. Hunter, you know, the guy's name is Han and he is a great guy, but Hunter is, I mean, again, I got like 8 vials of fucking enanthate shipped to my doorstep in 4 days. I just got eight vials of test prop shipped to my doorstep. 3 days later, it came with 60 10 milligram tabs of tadalafil. 3 days. It just, you know, that's why sourceless is valuable. Do you run Proviron and HCG simultaneously? I have. Secondly, do you ever do 2 DHT derivatives simultaneously? I have not run 2 DHT derivatives simultaneously. I personally wouldn't have a need for that, although if you were running Proviron to control estradiol and to optimize ARs and for like erection function and libido on TRT, because you couldn't dial in otherwise, and then you wanted to be more anabolic, you could run Anavar on top of the Proviron and TRT. And in that case, you know, that might work. But Proviron and HCG, that's a good idea to try to compensate for the estradiol that's going to come from HCG. And I mean, I think that'll hyper upregulate testicular function. It'll be really, really good because Proviron also optimizes testicular function. But no, I wouldn't really ever see a need to run 2 DHT derivatives. I think that people that are on bigger cycles, like real bodybuilder cycles, I'm not talking about a 0.5 gram of test. I'm talking about maybe 0.5 gram of test, 200 of Masteron, 100 of Primo, maybe 50 milligrams Trenbolone a week, or you scale that up to, substantial numbers, but a similar protocol, then they'll be running multiple DHT derivatives. Blind Robert Evans, best nootropics to help with chronic fatigue, anhedonia, and everything feeling like a chore. Well, it's, again, that's a little too general of a question, man, because I can't, I don't know what's causing your fatigue. One of the main reasons, and I just want to be clear with people about nootropics, is I get some comments about it. People hate that I don't talk about it anymore, nootropics, as much. The truth is, I discovered that people were using nootropics to band-aid health problems or hormone deficiencies, really. So any degree of fatigue, there's a reason for this, and you need to get to that. I can't even in good faith suggest you to use nootropics, but modafinil would be the answer. Modafinil would be the answer, but you got to get to the bottom of what's happening, bro. Preston, did you have a question? If you have a question, please ask it, brother. Thanks for the super chat. All right, Jay Brody, should testosterone peak or trough be at the top of the range? Still don't know what you mean by that. You need to word this differently. I somewhat can gauge, but why word it this way? Should testosterone peak or trough be at the top of the range? What are you talking about, man? Sorry, brother. You got to be more specific than that. All right, Piyush. Can DHT or steroids really change my face or make my face grow? Make me look more masculine, like androgenic? Pure DHT, would it make my jaw grow out? Did I notice any changes in my face on DHT? Well, it's hard to say because I mean I've dosed Proviron many times, which has masculinizing effects. Proviron, if you're lean, you're gonna really fucking see jaw gains. You'll see your shit just kind of lean out and looks more masculine. DHT will probably do the same thing, but you got to be lean enough to see it. I think generally speaking, these DHT chemicals, they're very masculinizing, and I mean that's just it. Like you wouldn't want a middle-aged woman to start dosing Proviron or DHT itself, because her fucking voice is going to deepen and she's going to start growing facial hair where she doesn't want it. Yeah, the primary effects that I noticed, because again I've been taking androgens for a long time, and I think a lot of that masculinization took place, and a lot of those positive changes took place compared to when I was at between 700 and 900 of total test, like in my early 30s. Like you can go watch my videos. My voice wasn't as deep. I just like, there was certain shit that changed over the use of using all of this stuff. And, you know, these days I think it just gets potentiated when I, you know, temporarily dose DHT or Proviron or whatever. But yeah, I think so. Depending on where you are now. Yes. You know, if your voice is like not deep and you just, yeah, I mean, you're lacking some of those masculine qualities like aggressiveness and assertiveness and the kind of I don't give a fuck attitude. We're going to get my shit done regardless, and I don't care what people think of me kind of thing, and I'm just super confident. If you're lacking those things, then DHT like stuff will help a lot. A lot. I mean, that's the hormone that masculinizes you. It does. All right, Jim Maximum. If calcium glucarate doesn't lower E2 but prevents its reabsorption, why does that have a benefit? Well, it technically does lower the serum, but it's hard to catch it. So I ran an experiment on this. This was before I had to take an AI to get my 92 estradiol on cycle down to like 50, which was like perfect. I was at 92. I ran a bunch of CDG, and then at 2 p.m. and then the next morning I tested my estradiol and it was 91. So it had moved down 1 point. But here's the thing, from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. it probably moved down to like 79, 80, 85, something like that, because I noticed at that point my erection started getting better. So it had an effect. But if you're continuously injecting androgens, like if you inject the next day, or if more testosterone is releasing from the depot continuously, which it does, well, then you're just going to build that estrogen right back. Calcium glucarate is a very short-lived effect, which makes it useful because you can daily or twice daily manipulate your estradiol. At the same time, I asked ChatGPT this because I was wanting to see what AI would think of this quandary, and ChatGPT thinks that things like calcium glucarate reduce tissue level estrogen, which is really where it matters. It's floating around your fucking blood doesn't tell you shit. It's not interacting with receptors. It's not hitting target tissues when it's just sitting in your blood. So it thinks that CDG lowers it at the tissue level, which is ultimately what is helpful, you know, and helping you gain erections. You know, you have estrogen receptors in your penis, and they are anti-androgenic. And so when you start lowering it even a little bit, that dramatically helps. CDG will probably make you lose a little bit or clear a little bit of your testosterone as well. So you'll end up probably making a little less E2, not substantially, but a little less E2 just via a little less test. So it's just something to think about. All right, Preston, I never went on testosterone and enthate exclusively. Do you think all of that inflammation was from the cypionate, or is Test E still water retentive? Well, it is, but it's less water retentive. Yeah. I blow up on cypionate. Like, I mean, my shit looks fuller. My face looks fuller. I haven't used testosterone cypionate for long term for like 2 years. You know, I had to inject 200 milligrams probably 6 months ago for a trip just to make things easy. I just injected a milliliter at once, but I strongly dislike testosterone cypionate, strongly dislike it. And yes, I mean, it's just super fucking water retentive. It's pretty anabolic. It's pretty anabolic, you know, that's pretty anabolic, but it is water retentive. Fucking totally. Testy a little less. I'd say considerably less, not as much less as prop. I mean, I'm on prop and cream now. If you remember my physique from just a few days ago, look how much leaner I am from just a few. I haven't changed my diet. I just lost water weight. just being on prop. And that's via less nitrogen and less estrogen ultimately, less estrogen at a time to what, really the end point is, less estrogen sticking around to trigger increases in arginine vasopressin, which is your antidiuretic hormone. That makes you water retentive on estradiol. All right. Mr. Blacklight running 60 milligrams of every other day of test prop and primo. So you're doing 60 of primo every other day. Okay. So 30 a day technically of each. 50 to 100 milligrams DHT powder daily. Thoughts and concerns on adding daily androgen to shaft if low estrogen is not a worry. If low estrogen isn't a problem, then sure, do it. Purpose being sexual recovery, recovering from PFS. Okay, that's not a bad protocol there. You should know relatively quickly with PFS, like if you're on the right track. You might not have significant gains, but you'll have like better sensation, slightly better erections. You'll feel twinges of warm sensations in the junk as if things are coming back. And if you're on this for a while now and it's not doing that, then maybe that primo is taking your estrogen too low. But so who knows? Just a tip. But other than that, no, I don't think androgen on the shaft is a problem. I think it would be useful because it acts systemically to an extent, and it also probably acts locally in the organ, in the sex organ. Two, what we hope it's doing in these cases is fixing endothelial disruption so that blood can flow better, so that you have better erections. Yeah. I mean, via binding to the ARs and not disassociating from the ARs for a while, unlike testosterone. All right. Dream Big is got some pretty low DHT and you're lacking sex drive. Test levels good. Estrogen, prolactin is good. What is the estrogen? Are you on androgens? I assume you are. That's pretty low. That's low. I mean, yeah, I think you want it to be 50 to 75. That's where you really want DHT to be. I think I got a benefit having it at 150. I got a more sexual, there were points where I'm just insatiable with very high DHT. So something to consider, but 25 is too low. 25 is too low. Yeah. I mean, if your test levels are 500, I think that's too low. I think that's too low. I lived at 500 as I got my numbers up in my 30s. There was 34. I remember being at 500 as I was trying to get it up. I wasn't feeling good. I only started feeling good at like 700, 800, 900, and then getting on TRT. Then I was like, oh, this is what testosterone really feels like. Okay, AB, do you know if Sourceless has vendors that don't use industrial solvents like ethyl oleates? The stuff messes me up, and a lot of UGLs put that on their prop Masteron. I don't know. Let's see. We just think of the individual vendors. Industrial solvents. I don't think they're specifying. I mean, some of them have. What is the nomenclature for the piece of paper that describes like the pharmaceutical specification of what's in, a given vial? They have those. They have those papers that describe, exactly what's in it. And I don't remember seeing ethyl oleate in any of them. So, but I could be wrong. I don't know for sure. I can tell you that the carrier oil for most, of the, the vendors that I use is MCT oil, which is fucking awesome. It just gets in quickly. It kind of operates faster, doesn't stick around as long, and it's very, very smooth. And people that have like aversions to cottonseed oil and shit do a lot better on MCT. All right, Jordan G Unit. Regarding my question on 2-DHT derivatives, I was cycling off of Anavar and wanted to try Proviron. Theoretically, wondered about the overlap and best gap time between. Again, they do different things. I mean, Anavar is like fucking super anabolic, and it might improve your sex drive just via being an androgen receptor agonist. In the brain, it might do something in the brain. It's kind of what I think is happening with Anavar. Lowers SHBG as well. I mean, if you're worried about very low SHBG, meaning in the 6 or below, then probably don't take them together. If you respond negatively to low SHBG, and if your SHBG goes down significantly from the use of these kinds of things. But if you were to take a bodybuilder who does this for his profession and just like lives that life and say, would it be problematic to run Anavar and Proviron? They'd be like, no, You know, so I mean, I hope that helps. All right. Yeah, so I'm not really sure what's going on with this whole peak and trough stuff. All right, Darren, any advice on reducing elevated liver enzymes? I take, I want to say it is 800 milligrams of Todca every day. So that would be one thing to do. You could also dose high dose milk thistle. I mean, that's an old school supplement that us nootropics folks used to use to try to stave off any liver stuff when dosing high doses of like hardcore pharmaceutical nootropics like modafinil, etc., which probably don't even elevate liver enzymes, but just to be careful. So milk thistle, Todca would be your best bets in my opinion. Yeah. Don't touch a shred of alcohol. Don't touch the stuff. For the one guy, running a bunch of androgens definitely changed my face. Okay, so this is in response to the guy that asked, would running DHT stuff like change your facial structure, your jawline, your masculinity, your face in general, to kind of masculinize you? And the answer is always yes, generally. But this guy says, yes, androgens changed his face. My head is more square. I look less nerdy and puffy in the face, but I'm also 20, so there might be an age cutoff there. Well, I suppose that's possible that there's an age cutoff, but I don't think so. I think I still get those kinds of good gains at 40, damn near 41 years old now, using specifically DHT steroids. Yeah. Best way to raise low cortisol levels would probably be to take licorice root. It's I believe it's doing something to ACTH, which will make you make more cortisol. Blind Robert Evans, I suspect my fatigue comes from depression, which is treatment resistant, and no medication seem to work. Yeah, well, it could come from depression, but it's not treatment resistant. It's resistant to the treatment that you're doing, which, you know, from the medical establishment, it's selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, or SNRIs, which are bad drugs to take. You know, get on a high dose of testosterone, and I bet your depression and your fatigue will go away. All right, Jay Brody, my testosterone peak levels are at the top of the range, but my trough is well below. I have ED. Should I increase my TRT? Well below the top of the range, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. If it's hypogonadal on your trough, then yes, you should increase your dose. Is HCG essential on TRT? No. Nope. Again, I've been talking a lot about this, and I read this fucking big long paper that describes the scientists have this contention that science was wrong about HCG. I swear, I'm going to break it down on a video. You guys have to read it. You could probably find it by Googling, like, you know, HCG compared to LH mechanisms study. And there's this big breakdown where it's like, we were wrong about HCG. It's not exclusively an LH mimetic. You know, in women, it's like hardcore progestogenic. And so potentially it agonizes progesterone receptors in men, which could be inhibitory of 5-alpha reductase. What the fuck else was it saying? It was just saying, it was a long paper and it said all a bunch of different mechanisms HCG has. So no, it's not essential, but this depends on the ester. If you're running cypionate, which is the most suppressive besides Nebido, then your testicular function is going to rapidly decline faster than any other, you know, faster than the short acting stuff, even faster than test NNT. However, if you ran test prop for TRT, just a TRT dose of 20 to 30 milligrams a day, you wouldn't need to take HCG, would be my opinion. Just take some pregnenolone, make sure you have that. And then intratesticular function would probably remain fine. Take some lecithin daily so that your ejaculate volume doesn't decrease, and it will you'll be shooting fucking Jackson Pollock paintings. And you'll be good to go. A lot of people, as I've said, man, they just have a fucking problem with HCG because it aromatizes. I mean, it causes extra aromatization that is on top of your, it's like you aromatize 20 points more usually than you would if you didn't have HCG while you're on TRT. So, you know, for some people, it's not only not essential, but it's completely harmful to their protocol, and it causes them side effects. Now, another thing that's making me think about this more is, like, I just had a call yesterday, dude, with a new client, 1 month client. a new client who was like, HCG fucking makes me anxious and makes me feel really wacky every time I take it. You know, it's not just the estrogen. There's got to be something else going on. I have a guy that takes HCG and gets lightheaded. What the fuck is that? You know, so again, I'm getting further into this rabbit hole of do we need HCG or do we not? Or is it bad for some people? Again, I tolerate the shit fine and I like it. I might go without it because I'm running long or short acting stuff right now just because I want to see. And more to come. More to come, man. Seriously. Dan is also on 150 milligrams of cypionate and can't sleep more than 2 hours at a time, waking up consistently due to high A2 or just overactive CNS. Did you just start TRT? Because, you know, that this is a common side effect of starting testosterone when you're not used to it, which always goes away. Will definitely go away. Yeah. But also, if you know, if your estradiol is too high, that can absolutely fucking cause this too. Yeah. Definitely. And you're probably injecting all this at once. I mean, that could be the problem. I'm not suggesting you do it daily, but maybe split it up 75 and 75. That'd probably be better. Do that every fourth day. And I think you would even have to manage E2. But if not, it's just testosterone causing this, then that will get better over time. You know, just keep at it. Keep at it. Maybe take a little bit of melatonin and low dose valerian root before bed. And that will probably solve your sleep problem for now. All right, Blacklight. In regards to PFS recovery, I'm making great progress after starting the Primo and DHT. Cool. DHT always helps. Libido is good, just trying to get boner rigidity where I want. Okay. And you're on test as well. Yeah, take 10 milligrams tadalafil every day without fail. I mean, that stuff will help recover penile function over time just because you have more blood. You know, if you have an organ that's like been starved of blood, or let's call it half dead, you know, in order for it to start working internally again, you need a lot of blood through it. You need to put blood through it. So you're not masking the problem by using tadalafil. You're actually helping recover. So use that, but estrogen. It's the biggest dick killer with androgens, period. So make sure you understand where that is. And maybe it needs to be a little lower, even if it's in range. I mean, I've seen guys be at 35 and you would look at that and be like, oh, that's fine. You know, why, you know, ED is probably in your head. No, it's not, you fucking idiot. It's the estrogen. Take it down to 25 and then it might work. So just something to consider, bro. Darren M. Yeah, I think you asked this question a couple times, or at least last week. We did a video with a balance my hormones guy, Mike something. And we had this hour-long podcast and it was awesome. And I should have recorded it. I just didn't think that he would do this. And it was on prop. It was, we talked about dopamine. We talked a little bit about cabergoline. We talked about everything regarding TRT. IM versus sub-Q. Was a great 1 hour podcast of two TRT podcasters, Balance Your Hormones and me. And they put it up and it was up for maybe a day. And then it just wasn't up anymore. And I emailed Mike, the founder of the company. I was like, hey, what happened to the podcast? And he never responded. So I don't know what happened. My suspicion though, I don't know. You know, maybe he's connected to some of the TRT hormone optimization channel guys, which probably don't like me because I've called out all their let estrogen go bullshit, all their bullshit. Those guys have a lot of bullshit on their channel. Some fucking very good information, but a lot of bullshit. And maybe they got in touch with them. Who knows? How much would 100 milligrams of Primo lower SHBG? Unclear. Maybe 5 to 10 points. I don't know though. I think it would be negligible. Yeah. Unless you're dosing a lot of it. Okay, Jay Brody, a lot of the mental benefits you say DHT is responsible for, I also get with D2 agonists. Well, I bet, but it's probably different. I've taken D2 agonists as well, one of the strongest ones out there, cabergoline specifically, and that doesn't make me feel anywhere near DHT. So your N equals 1 doesn't align with mine nor many of my clients. AB, thanks for the super chat, bro. If you had to pick on the 500 IU HCG every other day, would you choose low dose aromasin or proviron for E2? And how would you time it around the HCG? Thanks. Okay. First I would get a reading, right? Because that will tell you everything you need to know about what, you know, you need to use in this case. So I would get a reading of estradiol sensitive to see where it is. If this was me, I would first choose Proviron. I would take 25 milligrams a day for 2 weeks, and then I would test estradiol at the end of that 2 weeks. I would test it after dosing the Proviron that day and on the trough of your HCG. So that'd be the second day, so that you can see where everything is at. If you find that Proviron's not lowering it enough, and you correlate negative sexual symptoms with elevated estradiol or some other symptoms with elevated estradiol, and you need to lower it more, that would be the time to dose 3.25 once a week or 6.25 once a week of Aromacin. And then move up from there if you had to. Mohammed, what's up, brethren? Hope you're great. Would you say 30 milligrams test prop daily and 500 IU HCG every other day to be a good protocol for someone looking to start TRT? Should I expect estrogen sides? With prop, again, less suppressive. So you're either going to need no HCG or like something like 100 IU once or twice a week. So with just prop, I would, in your case, just starting, if you're worried about estrogen sides, just low dose the HCG 100 IU a week, or try starting without it. Try starting without it. You might have some shrinkage and some degree of atrophy in the testicles, but I don't think it'll be that much. Again, prop is less suppressive. I'm already just 4 days on prop and cream fast acting stuff. And look how much smaller I look. Now I can see my gains. I'm leaner. I haven't changed my diet, dude. This is all water weight that's gone now from, using the Enanthate. I'm only fucking 4 days into doing this. So it's less water retentive because it's less estrogenic prop, which means there's less suppression on the HPTA. That's the thing that suppresses the HPTA. The people get this confused. The HPTA doesn't really care about your testosterone. It doesn't monitor your test. It understands whether or not it needs to pump out more or stop pumping out luteinizing hormone based on estrogen. That's it. That's it, brother. No, Mucuna would not be a practical strategy to treat anhedonia. Yeah. Nope, definitely not. Okay, for the TRT guy, ketamine is amazing for anhedonia, massive increase in plasticity. These kinds of things, they're very heavily modulatory of brain chemistry, so that could be something to look into. I don't have personal experience with this, so I can't give you, Yeah, and again, no supplement will cure it, that's true. 9-MeBC would probably be useful for that. You got to get to the bottom of why you have it, though. Why you have it. Hormones control neurotransmitters so much, so look at the hormones first. Work on the neurotransmitters, maybe simultaneously, but if you can work it, let the hormone protocol modify the neurotransmitters. Yeah. Do it that way. I don't have any thoughts on T4 and T3 for low SHBG. No. Yeah, I don't know how T4 and T3 interact with sex hormone binding glove. I'm sure there's an interaction for sure. I do know that, people that have hypothyroidism start taking thyroid medications and restore both their testosterone and their libido. So something to consider. Okay, what causes thick blood? Really elevated hematocrit. It does that. A lot of red blood cells being produced. Best way to avoid that is to run every day or every other day. Go outside and run. Become a runner. Don't go walking on the treadmill. You're doing fucking nothing for hematocrit. People say that it does, or drink a bunch of water. Nah, that doesn't move everybody's hematocrit. Yep. Don't smoke cigarettes, drink minimal alcohol, and become a runner. And problem solved. Or do all those things regardless, but switch to prop. And people that have hematocrit problems on TRT, switch to prop and you won't anymore. You're welcome. I don't think resveratrol really reduces E2. Yeah, I don't think so. I think you could find a paper that says it's an aromatase inhibitor, but the affinity and the strength for, the affinity for the aromatase enzyme and the, I guess the duration of time that it's doing it, inhibiting the enzyme, really depends on, how much estrogen reduction you're going to get. And if resveratrol was a potent, estradiol management compound, we would all be using it, taking it. It'd be, discussed in the forums and stuff. So I don't think so. Jeff Jackson is a compounded testosterone cream of 1 milliliter of 90 milligrams per milliliter, a higher low dose. 90 milligrams per milliliter is kind of on the low end. Usually 200 milligrams per milliliter is what you typically get if you're going through Empower. where most of the other clinics out there, even Male Excel has 150 milligrams per milliliter. So 90 is a little on the low end. You just want to ultimately dose more of it if you can't dial in on lower doses of that cream. But maybe you just need a pump or two of that cream and you're fine. And then estrogen doesn't go up and you end up being fine. No, there really is no way to compare. Well, ask ChatGPT this. I know the way, but it's kind of complicated. But you should ask ChatGPT that because it'll tell you 90 milligrams per milliliter. How much testosterone are you getting per day? 200 milligrams per milliliter, 4 pumps. 3 pumps is, I want to say 30 milligrams a day, basically a 20% concentration. So there's ways to figure it out, but I would ask Chat that for sure. Steve Wonderful's estradiol is 95. Is that picograms per milliliter? Want to try Aromasin? Is it better than the other AIs? I think that people that have a problem with Arimidex because it works too quickly and it drops serum estrogen into the tissues really fucking fast, and therefore they got transient joint pain and all these other problems, loss of libido and fucking all this shit that can happen. Aromasin, it's like it drops the estradiol, but does it in a different way, and it kind of just like goes like this over the next 2 to 5 days. It just kind of sort of slower works down. It's still pretty fast, but it's not a dramatic impact on estradiol, like a shock to the system, which, fucking Arimidex definitely causes. For some people. I know guys that can take 0.5 twice a week and they're fine. Estradiol's at 25. They have no side effects whatsoever. I would love to be one of those guys. I'm just not. If at estradiol at 95, I'd be running 12 and a half, once or twice a week, and then in 4 weeks run your estradiol again. Yeah. And Proviron with 95 E2, it probably isn't going to lower it the way you want to. I would probably try shooting for 50 milligrams a day if you really want to lower it significantly. Okay. Nosy Blacklight, I'm checking my estradiol and other markers once my Primo is fully saturated according to the steroid plotter to get an idea of where it is. I won't add Androgen until I see. So I don't know how that Primo affects the estradiol. Well, out of curiosity, you could go run estradiol and see. If you have a before reading, if you were just running the protocol without Primo and you have a before reading, and then now you would have a good idea if you ran it now. Great. I hope so. Man. I hope you recover. Having sexual dysfunction is, it removes a lot of your manhood. Oh, confidence for sure, but a lot of your manhood, it's fucked up. Yeah, I feel for you people because I had it in my early 30s, man, and it was, it was induced by a variety of things, but ultimately took my test to 290. I was hypogonadal at 30. And for the first year, I kind of didn't give a fuck. Like I was focused on business at the time, and I'm like, I thought it was a trophy. I'm like, I don't even think about sex. I'm so focused on business. And then at year 2, I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not waking up with erections. I don't even desire sex. Then at year 2.5, year 3 of that, I was like having a hard time getting erections for masturbation. And I'm like, okay, something's fucking wrong, man. So and then I went, through this process of fixing it, and it just sucked. The more I was aware of it, the more it sucked. So I understand what you guys go through. Okay. AB noted. Planning on doing Vigorous Steve test Primo HRT plus. Good luck. Rackpole. Hope you're well. What do you consider first line intervention for lowering estradiol? AI lowering dose, frequency of injection. This is a good question. Where do they rank? Because to lower estradiol, you can either do a number of different things. Number one, you can situate your protocol in a way which gets you inherently low estradiol by not touching anything just because you have a lower dose. Now, the best way to do that is to use a fast-acting ester, because you can dose higher, like prop. You can dose 200 milligrams a week of prop and still have very, very controlled estrogen without doing anything. Just because it doesn't stick around as long, you probably ultimately aromatize a little less, as evidenced by all the bodybuilders that use prop in certain situations where they don't want to aromatize or don't want to retain a bunch of water, as evidenced by my fucking bloods, as evidenced by a lot of other people's bloods, but a lot of people's experience getting erections really firm and good, even on pretty high doses of prop. So even 20 milligrams of prop, which is less anabolic but still pretty good, would be pretty good for estradiol. And in this case, now with cypionate and stuff, you got to run like 70 to 100 milligrams a week. Yeah, and very little HCG, 100 IU twice a week in order to get estradiol in that range. That's why it's just, for some people that's not worth it. For me, it isn't, because I like anabolism. I like the extra energy from androgen. So I'd rather be high test and then manage estradiol, because I can do that. Some people can't. Secondly, though, yes, a low dose of aromasin, actually, before you would try AIs, if you really want the order of things, it would be to use a DHT derivative. Yeah. Primobolan first, Masteron second, Proviron third, because the first two formers are more effective at lowering estradiol than Proviron. So I think that's what you would do. But first in order, do the DHT derivatives first, so that you can keep your high dose if you want to, if you like being very anabolic. All right, Dark Fitness read a post on Reddit that says that calcium glucarate was killing their libido. Through what mechanism could that be happening? If possible, I know Reddit isn't exactly credible. Is this a person on TRT or not on TRT? This is why these kinds of situations are hard to discern what the problem is. Because, if the person wasn't on androgens, they probably just lowered via preventing glucuronidation and filtering out a bunch of testosterone. They probably lowered their testosterone, and they lowered their estradiol too. Secondarily, calcium glucarate can cause probably a Herxheimer reaction, like a negative detox reaction, because it's highly upregulating your liver's ability to clear shit from your body. And so that might cause some sort of fucked up reaction, which is messing with this guy's libido. But what I would wager is that he's not on androgens, and it lowered his test, it lowered his fucking test too much. Because it can do that. It's not a problem if you're injecting it. But if you're a natural taking CDG and you take too much of it, like, the doses are like 500 3 times a day. I wouldn't be doing that if I was natural. It would lower everything too much. I think he probably I think that's probably the case. Or if he's on TRT, he probably took too much. Way too much. 3 grams or something. And then that caused this problem. Yes, Proviron will likely knock the SHBG down between 5 and 10 points. But it's not always problematic. In fact, it's rarely problematic. All right, 10 grams tadalafil for $20 is absolutely absurd. Easily my favorite purchase in a long time. Is that on source list? Is there a 10 grams? Well, that would be 60. Is the 60... tablets at 10 milligrams, that would be 600 milligrams. Well, it's almost 10 grams. Yeah, everything on source list is cheap, because you're not getting it from pharmaceutical companies who want to charge you extra. Again, I don't remember what my prop vials are, but like, just because the minimum order quantity was 200, I got 8 of them, and it was like 220. Yeah, I got 8 vials of 10 milliliters of prop for fucking cheap, dude. I mean, people pay close to that for like 2 vials of cypionate. My buddy said excess E2 can stop you from feeling cabergoline. Is this true? Your buddy is correct. Your buddy's right. Yeah, there is a mechanism by which estradiol can prevent dopamine, or a dopamine agonist, a selective D2 agonist in this case, from binding to the pituitary lactotropes. Yes, this is true. The D2 receptors on the pituitary lactotropes, those are the prolactin producing cells. So your buddy is right, actually. Yes, there is a mechanism for that. Actually, estradiol is one of the main reasons for dopamine agonist resistant prolactinomas. These are tumors in your pituitary gland that get resistant to the use of cabergoline, so it doesn't fucking reduce prolactin anymore because of estrogen. If you lower the estrogen in the study's case with an AI, then the cabergoline starts working again. Yes. Dr. Wes Connor recommends only HCG once a month for a week. 500 IUs Monday, Wednesday, Friday, still maintains testicular function apparently. Might be an option for those guys that have issues. Yeah, I don't think that's a bad idea. Again, HCG can just be super problematic for people. And so, for those of you where it is, then something like this makes sense. Yeah. I mean, as long as you're not running cypionate at high doses and you're just causing massive suppression, then that should be fine. If you ran prop and cream or cream alone or prop alone, you probably wouldn't have to take HCG. And I'm going to test that. Going to test it, boys. Pretty soon. I'm still taking HCG now, but I mean, I don't know. I got to figure out what I'm going to do next. So we'll see. All right. Do you recommend starting TRT with prop with HCG straight away, or do you recommend just starting prop? If you asked about worrying about it, I think it was either asked about like you're concerned about estradiol, just start with prop and no HCG. Yeah. My sense is that you would be, you'd be fine not taking HCG as long as you take lecithin. So you'd have ejaculate volume. Yeah. And pregnenolone. Now, would you be fertile? That's a different question. But would everything function well and you have sensation and all that? Yeah, likely. Plenty of guys on TRT don't take HCG and are fine too. Even guys on cypionate. Okay, Jeff Jackson, thanks for the live chats. You're welcome, brother. Thanks for being here, brethren. Tadalafil 5 milligrams gave me a seriously stuffy nose. Yeah, that'll go away. It does that initially. Yes, it goes away. Does sildenafil give the same benefits as tadalafil? Yeah, but more of an acute, strong, probably stronger acute reaction. Like Viagra happens really quickly. Like take it 30 minutes later, boner starts popping up. Some people 15 minutes, your erections are better. But the congestion, the weird side effects, the lower leg pain or back pain that could come from tadalafil, all that goes away. Just have to keep taking it and stick through it. Yeah, it's 2 weeks. It was less, it all depends on the person. Rich, have had increasingly difficult time finding reputable sources for racetams. Don't ask for sources here. I will ban you if you ask again. Rackpull, CDG also increases excretion of androgens, not just estrogen. Yes, but not a lot. Not a lot. It primarily focuses on the reduction of estrogen. And it'll probably lower your testosterone a little bit. It'll take some of it out, just preventing some of the reabsorption. But, guys that use it on androgens, we don't notice less anabolism, less sexual function, less as if we had lost a lot of testosterone. It doesn't happen that way. It mainly focuses on estradiol. Source lists. Again, this is what we've been talking about a lot of this time. If you need to circumvent your clinic, just get source lists. Yeah, it'll be the best investment ever. It's $99. You'll have it forever. You'll download it instantly. And you can do things like get oral DHT with source lists. You can order your next years of testosterone for $100, literally, depending on your dose, or $200 for you have testosterone for the next year. You don't have to worry about your clinic. If your clinic won't prescribe you Anavar and you'd like to try it for physique because you need lower tests because estrogen gets too high, but your physique suffers there and your energy suffers, then you can take Anavar healthfully and monitoring your bloods and run your low dose testosterone and keep your estradiol in the sweet spot, but still have anabolism and energy. Sourceless provides you that opportunity. If you want to try Masteron, boom, sourceless. If you want any anabolic shipped to your doorstep, if you're in the States, especially in 4 days, sourceless. Elsewhere in the world, there's international vendors that ship all over the world. You want, stuff that you can't get otherwise in your country, get sourceless. Honestly, it's a fucking game changer for people, boys. Really, 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 really. It's the most popular product we have, and the reviews we get. Hey, I tried X vendor. I'm running their Masteron propionate. It's changing my fucking protocol. Love it. Started using DHT powder. Fucking love it. Got my hands on some DHT gel. Fucking love it. Started using prop. Running high doses of it at 300 milligrams per some of your videos. I can do that now because I've circumvented my clinic via getting prop from source list. I'm having so much better over time and all my problems are solved. Boys, most valuable product we have, livecortex.com. All right, for someone who aromatizes too much from HCG, do you think yearly or semi-yearly cycles of HCG would be a good idea for testicular function and ability to have kids down the road? I think if you aromatize a lot from HCG, don't take it. And then, you got to run through every strategy with AIs and DHT derivatives first to determine, okay, they don't work for lowering estradiol in this case, or you can't dial it in. That's common enough. Or even with the use of AIs, people just can't dial in their shit with HCG. In that case, yeah, don't use it. And then the moment you want to have kids, use it. Yeah. Or use, human menopausal gonadotropin, HMG, which is LH. I believe it's LH and FSH together, which would be more useful because it's pure LH FSH. HCG is neither of those. And again, this big long paper I'm going to have to break down soon shows us that HCG does different shit than LH. It's just not the same. It's not clear, exclusively a mimetic luteinizing hormone. It does other things, and it does things we don't want it to do. Yeah. Dream big. Low on DHT on TRT would Masteron mimic the DHT effect? No, it would and would probably help you. But if you're low on DHT, you probably are converting too much of your testosterone estradiol. And the only reason that would happen is if you're taking finasteride or another 5-alpha reductase inhibitor. That's exactly how you would do this. How you would have not enough DHT taking TRT. Otherwise, you have a problem with your 5-alpha reductase enzymes, which the best way to upregulate that would be to take DHT itself. So no, don't shoot for master on this case. You probably need DHT, and you need to figure out why your test isn't converting to DHT a lot. Is it too low of a dose? Are you injecting too frequently? Doing dailies of 15 milligrams a day? And that would probably cause this problem. DHT is probably what you need. Okay, Preston, I've got a shit ton of injectable amino acids coming in the mail. We'll report back. All right, cool. Why is HCG the go-to option and not HMG? Price, I would say. I think HMG is pretty expensive. HCG just became, from the pharmaceutical company's perspective, the thing to target. I think that's just why they said, all right, we're going to, they make decisions like this, probably induced by or governed by FDA regulatory oversight, then everybody kind of gets in line like ducks in a row. So that's just what they chose, I guess, that would be my assessment or my assertion on it. It is probably not the best option. Again, there's many other options to keep testicular function, including DHT itself. Proviron is marketed for that, and using fast acting stuff so that you don't, so that you suppress the HPTA less. Okay, how do you test for estradiol? Lab and home kits. You want to test for estradiol by going to discountedlabs.com, signing up for an account, and buying a estradiol sensitive test. That's what you would want to do. And then, through Discounted Labs, through that website, you tell them, that Quest is your lab of choice, and they'll just send the lab requisition form, meaning the form you need to get your blood drawn, to Quest. Sign up for a Quest account online so you can read your results, but make an appointment with Quest thereafter so you can go get the bloods drawn, do it. It'll go on an online kind of document, like just an online portal where you can see all your bloods. Tadalafil gave you blurred vision. Well, that's an uncommon side effect, but yeah, that should go away. I would wager probably lowered your blood pressure a little. You might want to look into what your blood pressure was. Mohammed, is 25 milligrams DHEA and 25 milligrams pregnenolone daily a good addition to the protocol? Or should I add it only when I need it? Oh, I forget your protocol. Otherwise, those doses are fine. The DHEA might raise your estradiol a little bit. So you got to be careful with DHEA. Some people need it. It helps them. Other people, all it does, just like HCG, is cause more estradiol. All right, dream big. 10 milligrams each day. DHT raw orally would work. I bought your sources so I could buy raw DHT. Would work for what? Let me go back to your other question. Okay, so for low DHT, and trying to upregulate the 5-alpha reductase enzymes, assuming that the problem isn't induced by current usage of finasteride, in which case the removal of finasteride or whatever 5-AR inhibitor, topically or otherwise, would be prudent. That would be your first step. That'd solve the problem. Assuming that's not the issue, though, you probably want to take 30 to 50 milligrams a day in this case. Yeah, not 10 milligrams a day. You'd want to somewhat high dose it, would be my suggestion. Yeah. I mean, and the problem with this kind of stuff is you got to rely on people who've seen it, like me, and I'm sure there's other coaches who've used DHT with their people. because the medical establishment has no idea. They have no idea. They have no idea what dose to take, what dose makes sense for recovering penile function in conjunction with other compounds in a protocol, for PFS or whatever, or just whatever, low androgen status for a while, androgen deprivation. So you kind of got to rely on your own experimentation and just try, your best to consume a lot of my content. That I know of, I'm really the only one talking about it. I know other people are using it. Vigorous Steve primarily is using it and turned me on to the source. But no one else is talking about DHT. So keep watching, brother. Keep watching, brethren. Any other questions, guys? If you got them, post them. Here we had a little bit of snow. We had our first snow. It wasn't problematic. It kind of just, it's still on the ground a little bit, but not on the street. So you can still get around. The last week we finally had winter start. It had been really warm through November, and then now it's about 12 degrees with the wind chill. If you go downtown in the city, it might be like 5 to 10 degrees because there's like a wind tunnel effect because of the buildings blocking the sun, and it's weird. Certain alleys I'll go through, and it just fucking feels like Antarctica. It's weird. I've got to wear to go outside because I hit the city pretty much every day and go hang out at a couple places and just chat with the same people that are always at those places every day. It's just my kind of cool business getaway and like a good day thing. I got to wear cyclist level thermal gear. So what cyclists wear in cold weather, they're like thermals, but they're not. They're black and they're kind of thin, but they're sort of fleece-like on the inside. I got to wear those pants and a thermal like cycle gear shirt. And then my pants, regular pants, and then kind of like a sweatshirt type thing, like a thermal sweatshirt kind of thing. Then a coat, gloves, a neck warmer. It's like this thing that goes over my head that could cover my whole face and my ears and my neck. And if I'm really fucking being, if I really want to be not cold at all, 2 pairs of socks. It's fucking cold here, bro. Hate it. But I keep telling my cat who likes to go outside, he's miserable now because he doesn't want to go out. I open the door and I'm like, go ahead. He's at the door crying like wants to go out. I'm like, you want to go out and that shit? Go ahead. I open the door. I go ahead. You wanted to go out, right? Go ahead. What do you think? And he just darts back in the house like pissed. He's like, fuck, shit. I wanted to go outside. I keep telling him, we got 4 months, and now we really have 3 months, 20 days, 25 days. What is it? The 7th? Yeah, 3 months, 20 days roughly. December, January, February, March. Okay. And then in April, it starts to get better again. And we can fucking go outside. He can go outside in the backyard in my neighborhood. He goes out, plays with local cats. There's 2 cats that he now plays with. It's really cool. He made friends, and he traditionally attacks female cats. He'll just jump on them and fuck with them and roll them over. And I don't know how they're both girl cats tolerate him, but that's something else. Dream Big says pregnenolone injects his blood pressure through the roof. Weird. Might be elevating estradiol. It'll convert to DHEA, which will elevate your estradiol. That could be the problem. You take a blood pressure med. Well, you generally have blood pressure problems generally, so that it doesn't do that to a normal person. Like it doesn't touch my blood pressure or people that I know. So you got to look at that. Okay, dude, prop is giving me a high for most of the day. I can feel it 30 minutes after injection. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's dopaminergic. That's why, like, it's hard for me to ever, at this point, it's hard for me to ever imagine myself not using it unless I'm running a cycle where it's easier to use a long ester. Because injecting a lot of prop, that causes a PIP even in me where my tissues are kind of used to the PIP. 30 milligrams a day, which is what I'm running now of prop, I don't get any PIP. 30 milligrams a day of prop, 3 pumps of test cream. That's my sports TRT right now. It's roughly 370 a week, depending on how much I'm absorbing of the cream. I've already been off of this cycle for 5 days, and I've lost all that water. So I'm leaner and I can see the gains that I have. And I'm curious in the next 2 weeks if I get substantially smaller, if in fact I kept my gains, if I'm going to keep a lot of the gains. I'm really fucking curious, man. But if I don't, going on Anavar. Zachary, thank you. Daniel, any suggestions for PIP with prop? Yeah, just inject the glute. Injecting the glute, and you know, if you have to switch the injection sites, inject. It depends on how much you're dosing. If you're dosing 60 milligrams a day, 30 in one glute, 30 in the other, but you should be able to tolerate 60 of prop in the glute. Just go in the glutes. Don't go in the delts with prop. You're going to get PIP. Don't go in the quads, God forbid, with prop. You're going to get PIP. Just go in the glute. Just classical TRT injection strategy with prop. Go in the glute. Otherwise, heat the vial up for a while. Heat the vial up, and that might help. Preston, thank you for the super chat, brother. I've got DHT in the mail as well. I've heard it's more powerful than Proviron in terms of masculine stoic confidence. Oh, definitely. Yeah. Proviron's, there's a difference because like Proviron has a long half-life, you know, longer half-life than DHT does. DHT's in and out in 4 hours, 5 hours. Proviron, you're talking about 12 to 15. So Proviron might provide more of a sustainable feeling of this, whereas DHT, it's kind of intermittent, unless you dose DHT 2 or 3 times a day, you know. But it's going to be different for different people. I know people that take DHT and get that feeling all day, but they got to take 30 to 50 milligrams in the morning, and then they'll get that powerful feeling all day. But yes, look, when you, like, guys, when you try what is the most important androgen you have in your body, the most masculinizing androgen you have in your body, you know, the most the hormone that is most responsible for your malehood, like what causes you to act like a man acts. And I'm not talking about new age males, you know, these fucking weirdos. I'm talking about traditional males. Think of the guy that was a coal miner, or your dad's dad, who was just a fucking male. That kind of shit. You're going to see. You start taking DHT, you're going to see how powerful it is for all that. Dan, thank you for the super chat, Preston. Dan, currently on 150 milligrams a week of Cypionate over 3 injections, but wanted to start prop. How long after my last SIP injection should I pin prop? Just start right away. Yeah, start right away. I mean, if you want to be super, like, I don't know, upgraded about it, then wait 2 weeks and then start it, because then most of that SIP will be out in 2 weeks. Like, it's going to be 4 or 5 half-lives. Like, some of it'll still be there, but the majority of it's going to be out. Yeah. You could take a lot of calcium glucarate and speed that up to speed the clearance of it. But honestly, like, every time I change from a long ester to short, I like, perfect example, just 5 days ago, I was running 160 of enanthate every other day. I just switched to prop and cream. It's been 5 days and I've already lost all my water weight. So a lot of that enanthate is probably out of my fucking system, man. And, you know, it's different for different people, and it'll leave quicker. It you know, might leave quicker than the projected half-life, you know, the documented half-life. These drugs and your genetic ability to deal with metabolism of drugs don't adhere to the pharmacokinetic studies. They don't adhere to that. They do what they want to do. Dopamina. You think HCG could be anti-androgenic? Well, if it does agonize progesterone receptors, 100%. Yes. Yeah. And I think that would probably manifest through sexual dysfunction, but also being estrogenic, it's anti-androgenic. It's also androgenic in that it makes you make more intratesticular testosterone. So again, you know, plenty of people like just swear by it and have no problems with HCG. I don't want to say I have no problems, but I have to manage my estrogen more. You know, I have to. But then there's people who just get anxiety, fatigue, lightheadedness, and dick problems from any HCG. You know, it's just so, those people, you have to use prop or cream or prop and cream so that you suppress the HPTA less and that you don't have to take HCG. And you have to use pregnenolone, and you should use some lecithin daily so you have ejaculate volume. Ever hear of sore nipples? Oh wait, Zachary, should everyone take DHA pregnenolone? Not necessarily. It's all situationally specific. I think generally you should see if you can tolerate it, right? That's why I've always said you should have it in your protocol. But if you end up finding out that the DHEA specifically makes you make too much estrogen, and you can't compensate for that with the use of zinc or an AI, then you have to remove it. You know, you got to remove it and just rely on the pregnenolone creating DHEA, because it will. starting dose of each, starting 25 of DHA, 30 of preg. I mean, I think 30 of pregnenolone is a good dose regardless. People don't necessarily need DHA if they have 30 of preg in the picture. Also, do you buy all your HRT products from source lists? Yes. There's nothing that I am getting that is not on source list right now. Aside from the testosterone cream, which is prescribed to me by Defy Medical. So I had to basically enliven my interaction with them because I killed them as a clinic for a month and a half, 2 months. I'm like, you guys fuck off, because they ran out of prop. They didn't tell anyone. So I've got to use their cream. No one else. I can't get cream UGL. No one makes it. So that's just that. Otherwise, everything from source list. The tadalafil I get, source list. The Masteron propionate I have downstairs, source list. The Primobolan and Theta I have, source list. The Proviron of many different brands, source list. All the test Theta I have, 7 vials at this point, source list. 8 vials of test prop, source list. Raw DHT powder, source list. Aromacin, 12.5 milligrams per tablet, source list. All right, gray. Maybe using specifically on the chest, shoulder cause local high concentrations. Thanks. Ever hear of sore nipples, possible gyno aggravation or growth with normal E2, prolactin, and progesterone? Only changes up test by 50 to 80 milligrams a week. And use cream but applied to the chest and the delt. It's entirely possible that your cream applying to the chest, it acted locally and you converted more E2 locally in the breast tissues. That's possible. Yeah. I don't know, because I don't think it's ever been studied, but that's possible. Quite possible. That'd be my guess, man. On test primo only, same batch I've used for 1 year, no problems. What makes more estrogen? Oh, which one makes more estrogen? I would say probably DHEA is more estrogenic. I mean, it has some pathways by which it can convert right to estradiol. Yeah, DHEA. Johnny Pina, I want to try DHT like you suggest, but where it'll call cystic acne. I got my cystic acne from my TRT under control. The high DHT was the culprit. So what did you do? Took an anti-androgen, probably, right, to do that? You really ought to look into what helped me clear the acne that was caused by my cycle. Okay, so running 560 a week, also running DHT, running Proviron. I was just running a lot over the last 4 months. And it's almost all gone from my arms. My arms, my delt was pretty fucking bad. Now it's all just like you can see scars and it's all smooth. Was benzoyl peroxide. Salic acid didn't fucking touch it. Dial gold didn't fucking touch it. Scrubbing 3 times a day with both didn't fucking touch it. The moment I started using benzoyl peroxide, it started to fucking immediately go away. So if you're worried about that, get some benzoyl peroxide. Neutrogena makes a couple products that have benzoyl peroxide in it. You could also hack the system and get your own benzoyl peroxide and, put it on yourself as long as you're careful with the concentrations. And it'll dry that shit right the fuck up. Right the fuck. I'm telling you, on cycle, I had pretty bad delt acne. It's almost all gone. All this is just like, you can still see it, but it's kind of scarring now. And I'll put some vitamin E and that'll clear up completely, but it's smooth. So the acne itself is not out. And my back is generally cleared up from using it too. On cycle, I had more acne on my back. Okay. Daniel, do you have any thoughts on testosterone on decanoate tablets? No, I don't know about test tablets. 5 hour half-life. Really? I've never even heard of this. I mean, it would be less suppressive to the HPTA for sure. When will I know if aromacin will work? When will I know aromacin will work? How long after I wait should I take an initial dose? Well, you have to recognize what you're taking it for. I mean, if you're having dick problems on androgens, then 3.25 or 6.25. Just to start, wait 7 days and see what happens, and notate every day over the 7 days what happens, on your iPhone notepad. Day 1, erections are slightly better. Day 2, even better. Day 3, sensations better. Had libido, wanted to masturbate. Day 4, kind of trickling downward again. Day 5, trickling downward again. Day 6, feel like it used to before I took it. Then, if you took 3.25 in that 6 day period, that probably 12.5 over 7 day period is best. So, it depends on what you're taking it for. If you have a symptom and you're taking it, and that symptom is getting better, changing in any way, then it's doing something. If you have a negative symptom from taking it, your joints start to hurt, you start sleeping weird, you lose mental libido. It's working, but it's lowered your estrogen too much. That's the bottom line, brethren. All right, boys, I'm going to end the stream. Great fucking questions today, man. I had a lot of fun. I hope you guys got some good usefulness out of this content. Content coming Monday, so please look forward to that. Source list. Again, everything you can think of that you might just need to go pull the trigger on, because your clinic isn't going to prescribe you what you need, nor will they help you to dial in. I have experience with this before. It's like, first of all, everybody that comes to me, they come from clinics, or another coach, mostly from clinics. And the guys coming from other clinics, they're like, hey, my clinic won't help. Like, I've got dick problems. And they're like, okay, take PT 141, or, we can try increasing your tadalafil dose. So it's like, that's not the answer. It's about dialing in. And it's usually about estrogen, having enough DHT, having, in some cases, fast acting stuff, getting the right ester. Circumvent your clinic, take matters into your own hands, get source list, and go to town. Everything you could possibly want is there for a lot cheaper. Boys, it's been a pleasure hanging out with you. I will see you this week for content, so look forward to that. Hope you guys are staying warm. Those of you in colder climates, those of you in Florida or the Carolinas, I'm very jealous, but I'll be there soon. Might move to Florida. Have a nice day, everybody.